Welcome back to Cinema Vino.
Oh, hey.
Hi.
Good to have y'all with us. We got Sean Jordan.
Hi.
We got Travis Budd.
I'm not wearing a bra. Forgot we were filming.
That's because I'm at home, you know.
Yeah,
Just like
we're
to
casual
relax.
here. This is No Bra Sunday. Is it today Sunday? What the hell? Okay, anyway.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah, it's No Bra Tuesday. Whatever day this is.
Do you have a job?
They're blending together.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm Todd Wofford. It's good to have you guys here with us.
On No Bra Tuesday.
Exactly. So this is the last installment in our Back in Time series. We're back to 1964 and Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. For this one, I'm going to turn it towards the camera. You probably can't see it, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is a 2020 Bordeaux. We're doing wines that age well. This is a wine. Bordeaux are some of the classic wines that age well. This is Chateau Tournefilet. I think I did not say that completely like Inspector Clouseau, but we'll see.
Tournefilet?
Tournefilet. This is from Pomerol in Bordeaux, which is going to be...
You say Pall Mall?
It's from Pall Malls, which is delightful cigarettes. Cinema Vino is brought to you by Pall Malls. This is 62% Merlot, 33% Cabernet Franc. Bordeaux's from this region are primarily Merlot and Cabernet Franc. There's a little bit of Cabernet Sauvignon and I believe Malbec in this, just tiny little percentages.
What am I thinking? I thought Bordeaux had 5 grapes.
They can. They're allowed to.
Okay.
Different regions will have different stuff like Margaux, that area in Bordeaux will be mainly Merlot, but then you'll see other areas that'll be mainly Cabernet and
14.5% alcohol.
Yeah.
But Merlot and Chateau Franc are the Cabernet Franc are the primary two that you typically see
in this region. Yeah. In this particular, because there's little sub-regions and they'll have different grapes that they grow in each area. And so the wines from Pomerol are going to be primarily Merlot and Cabernet Franc. So yeah, and this Bordeaux is going to be something.
And if I were a Virginia Slim, what would I have?
I think you would go with probably a Beaujolais, but like a cheap Beaujolais.
Gotcha.
You've come a long way, but not that far.
Right.
Baby. So Bordeaux, and again, I know I've said this before, but we get new listeners and new viewers all the time, so I'll say it again. Bordeaux you'll see red wines and white wines from the Bordeaux region of France. 5 grapes in the red wines. Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc are the big ones, but then Malbec and Petit Verdot, you'll see those also. And then white wines, you'll see primarily Sauvignon Blanc, Semillon, and Muscadel. The most famous one of those is Sauvignon Blanc. So, and actually, Bordeaux was known for white wines long before it was known for red wines. It was known as the Sauvignon Blanc region. So, only the last 50 or 60 years has it become known for red wines. This one is a 2020.
Why is that? Why the flip?
I think it's just because people started gravitating more and more towards red wines in other parts of the world. They became more trendy. And so that, this being one of the oldest wine growing areas in the world, they knew that this would be a great place to grow wines that you could age and cellar. And so like the Rothschild family in France became known for their Bordeaux. So around this time period, they did a lot to elevate the reputation of Bordeaux. This is not quite to its peak, I don't think. So this one has about 5 plus years of aging to do before it's going to be as good.
This one's a 2020?
It's a 2020.
I peaked in high school.
If that.
Started out at the top.
That's a generous assumption. But yeah, this is about $25-ish. Not bad for a Bordeaux that you can age. Bordeaux can go all the way up into the thousands of dollars. You can go on a wine auction and pay potentially tens of thousands of dollars for Bordeaux. These will be some of the most expensive elite wines in this region in the world. So if you can find something good that's not completely out of this world expensive, go for it. And this is, I think it's a pretty good wine, and it's got some potential. You could definitely drink it now or cellar it.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely got some like sharpness to it.
Mm-hmm. And it'll mellow.
Yeah. I think it could definitely mellow some more, and it's not for 14. You said 14.2?
Mm-hmm. 14.5.
14.5.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have the heat that you'd expect.
Yeah.
That'll chap your nipples.
It will.
Yeah. That would be a good shelf talker at the store.
That there'll chap your nipples, you know?
Give them a good ruddy hue.
If Wine Spectator was smart, they would hire you as to do their like wine reviews, because that would spice things up.
I would kill for that.
All those like, you know, fancy highfalutin reviews to say it'll chap your nipples.
Yeah.
You know,
Pairs very well with a number 2 from Burger Street.
it'll send your pubes off. So just FYI. So anyway, yeah, look for this store. This is Chateau Tourne Foulet, and I'll get better and better at that the more we drink of it. So, and if you're looking for pears, this is another great steak wine. But any big, bold, hearty meal you could do this with.
La Lande de Pomerol.
But this could
Kraft
be
mac and cheese
this could be an anniversary wine.
Kraft mac and cheese.
with little hot dogs cut up in it.
Yeah.
Little
Nice.
smokies.
Yeah.
Travis has long been on a kick for those of you who are joining us kind of late, scissoring in weenies and mac and cheese.
Yeah. That's you need protein.
Yeah.
You can turn them into people.
Yeah.
Give them little arms and little legs.
Whoa.
What movie was that? What movie was that they did that?
I don't remember.
Is it Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
I don't know, but man, I have my Blockbuster card out. I'm ready to watch
I think
that.
it was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. No, Honey, I Shrunk Ourselves.
Yeah.
That was the one we did. We did the sequel.
We did the threequel.
When we blew up the kid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's the
third. Yeah, completes the trilogy.
Yeah, you have to see all three for it to make sense.
It really rounds out the series.
So Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. This was released January 29th, 1964, just over 2 months after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. It's directed by legendary filmmaker Stanley Kubrick.
And it's his only truly cinematic comedy.
There you go. Trav has been cheating off my little sheet here.
Nailed it, buddy.
Yeah.
Good job.
It's my new bit. It's only funny to me, though.
Yeah,
He's going to start planning fake notes.
I'm
That's
going
true.
to now.
This man has
See
no
what he picks
penis.
up and then.
I'm going to now.
Dickless here.
Is this true?
Yeah, that's true. This man has no dick.
And see, that's a callback for those who are coming from the 1984 episode. So, here we are. This is based on the book Red Alert by Peter George, who serves as one of the co-writers here with Terry Southern and Stanley Kubrick. That book was a serious thriller. It took the subject matter seriously. They converted it to a comedy for this film.
It's a weird direction to take this book.
But it's kind of brilliant to look at it and say, because I say this in my actual written review of it looks at the Cold War and nuclear deterrence and mutually assured destruction, and the idea that you have a gun to my head and I have a gun to your head, so we're both safer because of that. And how stupid that is. It makes these guys, the actors here correctly play all of this with a perfectly straight face. And so it's like it turns the dial just a little bit of the same story and it turns into a comedy. It's not that much of a departure. It's like you just turn the subject matter a little bit.
You play one line a little bit harder and it's not comedy.
Just tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
And this could be a serious movie, but then turn it the other way and it just is
It becomes absurdist.
Yes. That's how close, especially when you're dealing with things like, the government and the military and, modern politics. It's like we veer real close to cartoon characters.
You know what? I just made this connection somewhat. The Jennifer Lawrence, Leonardo DiCaprio movie, with Don't Look Up.
Yes.
I feel like after watching this again now, having seen that other one, I can see kind of a correlation a little bit. Oh, okay. That would be a more modern take.
Blatant over the head satire.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That movie is interesting because it looked at the apocalypse more mocking the human nature and people in general. This one looks directly at the people in charge. You don't really see any everyday people. It's all the higher ups dealing with it.
Right. And in that vein, Shin Godzilla is a lot like this at some point in time. They have, I don't think you've seen it, right?
That's exactly right. No, I haven't.
No.
I was disagreeing with you.
is they have a giant monster, right? And then they're like, oh God, which committee should do this? We need to have a meeting. And then that meeting was like, I'm sorry, we're going to have to end this meeting. We need to go to this other meeting where less people are. And it's all about weird higher ups and crazy ass decisions and the people that have to, I'm sure the tone works better in Japanese, but watching it in English, I'm like, this is absurd. This is kind of great.
So, because the film came out 2 months after the assassination of John F. Kennedy, they had to alter some subject matter for the film. One of which, as Travis saw, when Slim Pickens is on the plane, he's going through the kit that they're going to get whenever they abandon their plane.
Nylons.
Yeah. I think there's some boob vodka in there. There's gold coins. And he says a fella could have a pretty good time in Vegas with all this. Originally, the line, you can tell what he's saying is, he says a guy could have a good time in Dallas.
Ugh.
Yeah. And then at the end of the film, Dr. Strangelove was famously supposed to end with a pie fight in the war room. Some of the scenes, you can see the lineup of pies on the table in the background. It was supposed to end while the Armageddon's going on with everybody smashing pies in each other's face. But one of the lines that George C. Scott says when the president takes a pie in the face was, "Our young president's been cut down in the prime of his life." Too soon.
Too soon.
So they pretty much cut out that entire sequence and left it with just the bombs falling. And
the 60s were fun.
They were. And this is one of the most like ballsy movies of the 60s. This is one of the most like brave truth to power movies that was made during that time period. This was like the first idea that the people in power might be nuts, and the ideas that they espouse, like, nuclear deterrence, might be crazy.
I can't think of another satire movie from this era that stands out more than this one. I feel like this is like with a good 10 years either side. I can't think of another movie that does a better job of satire.
Of this subject matter, I would say yes. So we watched Network, which is it's 12 years later, but it's definitely, and then the same writer about 5 or 6 years after Strangelove did The Hospital, which satirizes the medical / insurance.
Which has only gotten better.
Yeah. Only gotten better with age. In fact,
much like these fine wines.
Yeah. Supposedly the writer of The Hospital, who also wrote Network, was afraid to go check into a hospital when he was ill because he was worried of what the doctors would do to him for writing that movie, making fun of them. So there's that. So where was I here? Okay, so the film, a brief summary here, takes place over several narratives. You have General Jack D. Ripper, who's played by Sterling Hayden, who is excellent as the kind of square-jawed, war hawk general.
I deny them my essence.
Yeah.
I deny them my
precious bodily fluids.
Semen.
Yeah.
It was semen?
Yep.
I thought it was blood this whole time.
You knew that.
Yeah, it was little cummies.
You little devil. But side note, that was a real conspiracy theory of that time period, was that the communists had used fluoride to sap our manliness.
Yeah.
That was a real
look where it's gotten us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now we have the Mandela effect, which is, both true and not true at the same time. Bernstein Bears or Bernstein Bears?
It was Bernstein.
It's a government conspiracy.
Yeah.
That's right. We all switch timelines.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So General Ripper goes rogue.
Right.
It is just making us weak and wimpy.
I only drink rainwater.
But was it branch water and grain alcohol?
Mm-hmm. Rainwater and grain alcohol.
Yeah. Yikes. He goes rogue and he orders his attack wing to drop the nuclear payloads in Russia and helps kind of rig it to where they can't bring them back without some great difficulty. This sets off chaos in the higher-ups in Washington, including the president, Merkin Muffley, who is played by Peter Sellers.
Merkin Muffley?
That is his name.
I never realized that. That's such a great
titles
name.
were great watching it this time.
And I will say that the film kind of spoofs both sides of the spectrum, where General Ripper is, obviously the right-wing, warmongering cliche. Merkin Muffley, who's supposed to be a take on Adlai Stevenson, but it's he is the wimpy liberal, kind of not up to the moment,
the rule follower,
kind of tenderfoot politician in over his head.
But
yeah,
sir,
yeah. And so we'll get to this in a minute. But yeah, I mean, Peter Sellers is great as him, and the kind of the weakling who does the full on Bob Newhart phone conversation. Where it's you fill in the gaps of the Russian president. But it's one of the film's iconic scenes of him negotiating with a drunken Russian president. So on the other narrative, we see Major T.J. King Kong Slim Pickens on the B-52 and his squad as they are approaching their target.
Second movie with Slim Pickens in this series.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nice little tie-in.
Yeah. So yeah, basically you split up between the war room with the president, the base commander, General Ripper, and then the B-52. So you basically get 3 different storylines happening that don't really intersect at all. So the through line is obviously General Ripper's attack that ties everything together. So that's what I got for basic summary. It's a lot of movie packed into 90-something minutes.
90-minute movies used to be so much better.
Yeah.
You know?
A lot of information, no filler.
Yeah, they really packed it in. Somehow the pacing was slower and the movie was faster.
Yeah.
Oh, you know? Those were the days.
Those were the days.
It
was a different era. So have you guys have both seen this before? Mm-hmm. Okay. Just making sure. So what rating, Sean, we'll start with you. What would you give this?
I mean, I think this is like a strong movie. Mm-hmm. I don't want to give it a 10. I don't know why, but I would feel like it's like an 8.5, like a solid 8.5, like highly recommend, but also like not for everybody kind of movie.
Yeah.
It's got so many great one-liners. It's great acting, great zingers all the way through. Gentlemen, there is no fighting in the war room.
Yeah.
And George C. Scott, very underrated as the Buck Turgidson.
Buck Turgidson.
Yeah. It's like, oh, Mr. President will have 20, 30 million casualties, tops.
20, 30 million, tops.
Yeah.
The one who actually played into the general's plan of like, well, once they're committed, they'll have to go through with it.
Well, that's the thing is like, you know, it reminds me of supposedly what they say about the Cuban Missile Crisis, how obviously, you know, JFK, RFK, all these guys are trying to kind of diffuse the situation, but there was a definite group of generals involved in that who kind of wanted to escalate things.
Yeah, they were like, we've built this war machine. Let's use it. Let's do it.
Feeling itchy for war.
We've been ready for this.
Yeah.
They had that Chekhov's problem. There was like, we've got all these cool toys. We never get to use them.
Yeah.
We've done all these cool things and we're just sitting on them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's such a great picture of that era politically and building up the bureaucracy of, well, how did this happen? Oh, well, you remember we built this because just in case you were gone, we wanted to have a backup so we could, start the whole thing with if we had to. And it's like, well, how do we get it back? Well, that's the thing. So we built this redundancy in here. And it's perfect bureaucracy that we just have ratcheted up since that era.
Yeah.
Everyone always talks about the president as like, oh, you don't want them having like the nuclear codes. It's like, think of everybody else that's around. Like,
yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But I'm just thinking now about the Cuban Missile Crisis, and I mean, again, how close this movie is to reality, especially the reality of that time period. I think it was during that crisis, and they were talking about what to do. I think it was Maxwell Taylor, who was like, I want to say the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. He got up and he said, Mr. President, the big red dog is digging in our backyard, and we have to shoot it.
Yeah.
That's a real quote.
Yeah, I mean, this is not that far after, the Red Scare in Hollywood. And
Travis just said Clifford, in case you're wondering.
Clifford, the big red dog.
It's digging in your backyard, obviously.
Can't shoot Clifford. But anyway, yeah.
But like the Red Scare was in the 50s, right? Mm-hmm. And Hollywood writers were heavily attacked by it. I mean, it makes sense why this kind of subject matter would get picked up so heavily by them.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it wasn't written about more. Mm-hmm. And I'm surprised Kubrick wasn't blacklisted for this movie.
Yeah. The blacklist had kind of faded by this point. So you had more and more blacklisted writers. I mean, you had people like Zero Mostel who were coming back into the industry from being blacklisted. But what's interesting is there was another movie that came out, and there was kind of a race. It was almost like Tombstone and Wyatt Earp, where you had another movie called Failsafe that was about the same kind of general subject. It was a serious movie. I want to say it was starring Henry Fonda. But it came out about the same time period, and they tried to see who could get it out first. And I think Dr. Strangelove came out first. But two completely different movies about the same thing.
Yeah. I loved that they didn't just play it on the American side, though. They also had like the Russian counterpart where it was like, oh, what about the thing? What if we did the Doomsday thing? Mm-hmm. What do you mean the Doomsday thing? Yeah, well, now we can't turn it off. What do you mean you can't turn it off? Yeah. Well, we programmed it to not be able to turn off in case of, this event.
Yeah.
And everyone's just so cordial about it. And they're just like, well, I can be more sorry than you.
Yeah.
Dimitri,
you're sorry. And I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too, Dimitri.
It's like, Dimitri, can you turn the music down, please?
Thank you.
I can't hear you. Put both feet on the floor.
And at the end of the day, the doomsday is happening, and the Russian ambassador is still sneaking pictures in the war room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he no context, no perspective, just still spying, because that's what he's supposed to do.
All the way to the end.
We're all playing our roles.
All the way to the end.
One thing to talk about, because think about that, the ending of this movie where they talk about, like, getting down in the mine shafts with the 10 women for every man, and all of a sudden everybody perks up. They're just like, wow, this is a horse of a different color. The sexual connotations of this entire movie, this movie is loaded with sexual imagery right from the beginning, where you see like a KC-10 fuel plane penetrating a B-52, fueling it at the beginning of the movie. Then you see General Ripper with his cigar pointed straight up like a erect penis. And then the precious bodily fluids.
Precious bodily fluids.
You see old Buck Turds and his lady in her underwear when he's first on screen.
Yep. I guess he's off screen taking a like massive Gawanji shit. Just couldn't come to the phone.
Yeah.
But this movie is such an iconic movie. It's not like the start of Kubrick's like career, but it kind of kicks him off into his movies kind of take off into another gear, right?
Yeah,
because it's another like 20 years before he does The Shining, right? Shining is 82, 80-ish,
about 60.
Yeah.
So he was very sporadic with his filmmaking. So
before this was like Lolita,
Spartacus.
Yeah, Spartacus.
And they did a great movie that would be great fun to do sometime called Paths of Glory, a war movie that kind of looks from a much darker angle of war and its absurdity. And it's set during World War I. And that period after the armistice, but while people were still fighting, generals who had scores to settle on the battlefield, even though peace had been set, and soldiers who wouldn't fight. So it's a hell of a movie based on a true story. So that was the first great movie that I saw from Kubrick, was Paths of Glory. That was like, man, he's good. He's a hell of a director. But yeah, then after this he did, I want to say 2001 was his next movie after this.
Was in the 60s or 70s? 68.
68.
Yeah.
And then you had Clockwork Orange.
Yep.
And then a movie called Barry Lyndon, which is another underrated movie. So, and then I think it was all the way to The Shining before he did another one. So it was a gap.
I think this is just such a peak stretch of Kubrick movies.
Yeah.
That this really kicks off. But the most iconic scene, obviously, is our boy riding down the bomb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But,
and again, sexual imagery. I mean, of him, riding a bomb, hooting and hollering.
Slim Pickens.
Mm-hmm.
Slim Pickens. No, but 8.5. I think pacing could... It doesn't age quite as well as like some other movies.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great movie. It's shot beautifully.
Mm-hmm. Young James Earl Jones in there.
Yes. Very young James Earl Jones, yeah.
His first movie.
This is his first?
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
8.5.
A good start.
Yeah.
Travie?
6.5 for me. This has never been my bag. I watched it once, I don't know, maybe when I was in high school, because I knew it was a whole thing, and I didn't know anything about it, and I watched it, and I was like, all right, I don't know what the big deal is.
Yeah, its reputation is bigger than the movie.
And then I watched it at least one more time, being like, okay, I should give it another shot. I don't remember much about anything of it, maybe about 10 years later. And I was still kind of like, I see it. And I watched it this time. I think this is the most I've enjoyed it, but I was also still just like, it's not, you said it's not for everybody. It's just not for me.
No.
It's not my bag. I of course loved Slim Pickens riding the bomb down. Peter Sellers, he plays the president. He plays Mandrake.
Plays Mandrake and Dr. Strangelove.
Dr. Strangelove. Okay.
Who has a real life syndrome where a person can't control one of their limbs, and it does random independent things.
Peter Sellers does?
Well, I mean, Dr. Strangelove. That's and I believe it's become known as Strangelove syndrome.
I thought you were going to tell me that Peter Sellers has that syndrome. I was like, holy shit.
Peter Sellers had a lot of other syndromes, but not that.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, he had a lot of other health issues.
Also, when I first watched it, I thought I knew it was very popular and everything, but I guess I thought it was almost like a universal horror movie. I thought it was like about a mad doctor.
Great.
I mean, it is, but just seeing it, I was let down that first time, and just.
That's a very weird idea to take into this movie. I can see why you would be disappointed.
I don't know if I was thinking it was like, and I don't think I've seen Dr. Zhivago either, but
I think that's not a horror movie.
I know, but I think I was thinking like Island of Dr. Moreau. Like I got them all these crazy doctor movies. I was like, is this the one that's like a universal horror?
That'd be the weirdest triple matinee in history.
Yeah. Like Dr. Zhivago,
Dr. Strangelove, Island of Dr. Moreau. That'd be the weirdest combination movies.
Dr. Giggles.
Now, Dr. Giggles, I can.
Dr. Pepper?
I can get behind that.
God, did we have we watched Darkman for?
We've not.
God damn it.
Let's get dangerous,
man. Yeah.
Let's get
dangerous.
Is that Darkman?
Yeah.
Is it?
That's Darkwing Duck.
Okay.
Blathering Blatherskites is Gizmo Duck. Any other duck superheroes you want to talk about?
Any other doctors you thought were evil?
Kevorkian.
Not evil. He was just honestly he was just trying to help people commit suicide.
Biomedical ethics. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Do you feel like cloning is unethical?
I feel like it's badass.
I agree.
It sounds awesome.
No.
I would make a great mad scientist.
Cloning is badass.
So it's 6.5 for me on Strangelove. It was shot well and everything, but it also had a very interesting like procedural aspect to it of all the guys in the plane doing all their checkoffs and everything. It gave me almost like Hunt for Red October vibes of like this seems somewhat accurate, I guess. Yeah. And then they switch to full satire and comedy.
Well, I think it just details like how the grunts have all of their steps laid out. Everything's top to bottom. Like, here's everything you're going to need. Here's all your steps one by one. Here's your package that tells you what to do.
I think my favorite part was the president speaking to Dimitri on the phone. Dimitri, you're fine? Yes, I'm fine. Yes, it's good to be fine. I'm glad we're both fine.
Yeah, it's like there's 17 minutes to the end of the world.
Well, you're sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm capable of being just as sorry as you.
It's brilliant. Yeah, that's a brilliant little piece of.
That part never got me before, but it did this time.
The part that got me was him wanting to make the phone call to tell them how to avert the apocalypse.
Yes,
and he's like, I'm so sorry. I don't have any change. Do you have any change? Would you make it collect? They won't. Okay. Can you shoot that vending machine?
Yeah, that's what the bullets are for.
And then you had Keenan Wynn as a character actor who gets another great line in there. It's like, you have to take this up with the Coca-Cola company.
Yeah. And he was like, do you think I'd take loose change into combat? And I was like, well, for maybe stealth or something? Is he worried about his keys jangling?
Which, I mean, one look at that guy, he ain't sneaking up on anybody. I think he was the bad guy in the Love Bug.
Oh.
Yeah.
The Love Bug?
I believe he was the bad guy in the original. Yeah. He was the original antagonist in Love Bug. Huh. He wanted to keep that VW for himself.
Why wouldn't you?
I thought he was the villain in the Shaggy Dog.
He might have been. He probably shows up in a lot of those Disney types.
There really should be a crossover with the Shaggy Dog, my dad, the Shaggy Dog, and Herbie the Love Bug.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if the dog was driving Herbie, like Tinks is the driving cat. Print money.
Okay. Now, did you give this a 7.5 and just land right in the middle?
For me, and this is probably different because I also come at this from the nostalgia angle. I saw this from a very young age. I don't know if you guys did as well.
I definitely watched this with my dad. I want to say I was late teens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, this probably goes back to middle school for me, but it's like I've loved it the whole time.
Oh, you didn't see it when it came out?
Hey-o.
Hey-o.
So this is a 10 for me. This is an all-time like satire for me. I love satires that that take good aim at their subjects, like Network,
and it aged really well.
Yeah. But like I said, this is one of the most notable ones of all time. I love it when they take aim at like ripe subjects and hit them really well. Peter Sellers is great. Like I say, his conversations with the president on the phone, even as the overly polite British executive officer,
Mandrake.
But then Dr. Strangelove, where his hand will randomly try to strangle himself and then throw up a Nazi salute. And then this is like Blazing Saddles, where it gradually gets goofier and goofier and goofier as it goes along. And I like that, where they gradually turn up the heat. And eventually it's like, Strangelove is so worked up at the end that he gets up out of his wheelchair. And the closing line of the movie is, "Mein Führer, I can walk."
Yeah.
It's just brilliant.
His character of Dr. Strangelove is probably my favorite because he's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
You can make a whole drinking game out of how often they say Mandrake. Mandrake. Mandrake, get over here. Mandrake.
Yeah.
Come feed me this belt.
What kind of name is Strangelove? He changed it to be more American.
Yeah. Originally, and look in the background when Strangelove's doing his shtick, you can see those actors laughing, like breaking character.
Yeah, I definitely saw some actors breaking character.
Yeah.
I think it was the ambassador in the background was breaking character in one of the scenes.
Yeah, where he throws up a salute, like, "Mein Führer, mein Führer." So
it's also a great commentary on Operation Paperclip, which I don't know in 1964 how public that was, that they knew that we just took a whole bunch of Nazi scientists over and we were like, "Hey, help us build a space shuttle."
I think it was, to the extent of it was probably not known, but it was definitely known that we were using Germans.
It was like an open secret.
I mean, yeah, when the head of development at NASA's name was Werner von Braun.
There were plenty of Germans in America.
So, but yeah, he was definitely one of the guys that helped develop the V2 rocket.
Yes.
So there's that.
Yeah. Well, he was halfway there already.
But yeah, this is a great movie for me. This is a classic. This is one of my all time. This is one of the example of me of a great satire. If I'm making a list of perfect movies, this is a perfect example of a satire.
And it's one of Stanley Kubrick's only cinematic comedies.
It's one of his only
True
true cinematic comedies.
True cinematic.
I love Kubrick because obviously some of his movies can be a little bit off-putting, but it's like
You should be off-putting.
I really should be. you ain't wrong. But but he veers. I mean, obviously, Chinese horror. You have Barry Lyndon, which is a
Chinese horror? What?
If I slurred that, I'm sorry. You have The Shining, which is horror.
There you go.
Horror.
Yeah,
Okay.
horror.
The Shining.
I was like, what movie were you watching? And can I watch that one?
You had
I didn't know Kubrick did a Chinese horror.
yeah. Don't go to IMDb looking for that one because you won't find it.
Or you will.
Or maybe you will.
Unlisted.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
You had Mary Lyndon, which is a period piece, and then you had something like Full Metal Jacket was an anti-war Vietnam movie. Filmed in England. That's the other thing is all of his movies are filmed in England. So.
Was this filmed in England?
This was filmed in England.
Oh.
They had to get Slim Pickens a passport at the last minute to get him over there.
Did they really?
Because originally Peter Sellers was going to play that part too.
Jeez,
And
greedy.
Yeah.
It's too many parts for Peter Sellers.
Well, I mean, you got to think about it from a budget standpoint. It's a good way to save some money.
True.
Mm-hmm.
But he, I guess he couldn't handle the Texas accent. He couldn't do it. So they got Slim Pickens.
It's
What a
challenging.
shitty actor.
Fair.
Yeah.
It's fair.
And he did
Accent work is hard.
Yeah. He did this and a Pink Panther movie same year. So,
You must get up very early in the morning.
yeah.
He was busy.
He was.
He was a busy guy.
He was a busy man. Rest in peace.
All right, people.
Yeah.
Rip.
He was a busy man, a hard partying man.
Yeah.
So we're all work, all
We
play.
should do a Pink Panther.
I'm down.
I love the Pink Panther movies. No? No?
thank you.
Snake Face?
Maybe you're not a Peter Sellers guy. Maybe that's your thing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Name one Peter Sellers movie you like.
Pink Panther.
Fuck.
I don't know any Peter Sellers movies.
Got him.
Yeah. Being There is a good Peter Sellers movie. We'll have to look at that sometime. So,
No,
Did you say Being There?
Being There. Chinese horror.
Bing?
you just blitz.
I wish.
Say unique New York.
Unique New York.
Say your social security number.
Bonsai Bonanza.
You just said Chinese horror again.
Seven-
you
seven,
can't even
six,
hear
five,
yourself.
four. Who?
Go ahead.
So this has been another episode of Cinema Vino, and we thank you guys very much. We got Sean Jordan.
Hey.
We got T Bud.
Yo.
I'm T Wofford.
Jesus.
And great movies, Only Drunker. We thank you guys next time. Tune in next time. We're talking about one of my favorite high school coming of age movies of all time, Dazed and Confused.
We're getting into our summer series.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
We're post Memorial Day.
Summer series, summer wines.
Wait, does this podcast come out tomorrow?
It does.
Nice.
Yeah. So
nice.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Yeah. I don't think this is Kwanzaa. This isn't Kwanzaa. So anyway, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.